Welcome to Chatting with the Experts, a podcast for immigrant women from Nigeria, from Ghana, in fact, all of Africa, and the Caribbean, who have relocated to the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada. Here we talk about the struggles, and we also highlight the triumphs experienced while sharing resources and experiences that our fellow immigrant sisters can benefit from. So today, I will be talking with Alicia Couri. She's from Trinidad, and she has made and continues to make an impact to the world. It was recently her birthday, so happy birthday, Alicia. I want to guess that you're probably 25 still.
Yes, we can reverse those numbers, and that's my actual age.
Well, for some people who may not be mathematically inclined, you're 25.
Okay.
Keep it like
we'll
that.
Stick with the 25.
I recently watched you on a YouTube video. I think I was talking about that before we came on the show. And you talked about your beauty contest that you won at age 50. Oh, so I just gave her age away in a way, you know?
Yes. Yes.
You won a lot of stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about that before I go into your bio that is so impressive?
Okay. Yes. So in 2019, I decided to enter a pageant, which I had never thought I would ever do. And it was one of those things, you know, that you think, oh, I'm not tall enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm just not enough to really enter one of those. So it's something that I always stayed away from. But in 2019, I took the leap, I took the plunge and decided to go ahead and enter this one national pageant here in the United States. And it's called Women of Achievement. So they really celebrate not just beauty, but also what are you doing to impact the lives of others? And that was really what drew me to that pageant, because it was more about what are you achieving for others, not just your own personal achievements, but what are you doing out there for others? And I decided to enter it and I won. So, which is very rare. I understand that when you enter something for the very first time, especially pageants, you typically don't win. So I took my win and I ran with it and I said, I'm not doing another one. I did it. I won. I'm done.
Good for you. I love it. I love it. I love it. And so in continuation with that, you heard I made her introduce herself. I'm going to tell you a bit or read about her. Read her bio. It is fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
So as she told you, she won do you describe yourself as the former?
I'm the former,
okay.
Yes, Mrs. Elite United States Woman of Achievement 2020.
You heard that. So there's also a chance to do 2021, right? COVID is going away.
Well, they have an international pageant. So people, if you're listening and you want to be a part of it, they do have an international pageant, Women of Achievement, that you can represent your country in. So they have that one. Wow. I'm not doing that one. Like I said, I won and I'm out.
I agree. But we got to talk about you're the audacious confidence growth expert. You're also an author. You're a speaker. You're an actress, a producer. You're a host, in addition to running your own full-time consulting business. Alicia and her team work with executives to collapse the time to more effective communication, team synergy, and higher productivity. Whoa. Alicia has appeared on copious radio shows, on tons and tons and tons of podcasts like this one, and network television morning shows where she shares tips on beauty, on style, on personal development, and anti-aging. I can understand why, because just looking at you, as I said at the beginning, 25 is what comes to me. So let's talk about some of the companies you founded. She has founded Alicia Couri Incorporated. She's also founded Red Carpet CEO. She's the founder and the executive producer and host of the Red Carpet CEO, and she's also the founder and head stylist of AC Beauty. Wow. Girl, is there anything left?
Well, I and we'll talk about this, I guess, in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Coming here, I spent a lot of time just trying to get started, established, do something because my immigration status wasn't fully realized for a while. You know, I had challenges actually getting my green card and getting a work permit. So I had to figure out what can I do to kind of keep myself going. And so that was one of the struggles and the challenges that I had, that I couldn't legally work. And I know many people who come here with the dream of working and living and establishing a life for themselves. One of the things you probably don't realize is how difficult it really can be to legitimately work. And so there are a lot of jobs that people take under the table, and a lot of things that they do to try to make money and to make ends meet. And thankfully, my husband did have a green card. He did have a work permit. He had a work permit and he could work. I couldn't work. And for many, many years. And so I felt like I was like running in quicksand, you know, I felt like I couldn't do anything. So finally, when I was able to, I'm just like, you know, release the hounds. I was just took off and started doing all the things I dreamed I could do. And so I founded my AC Beauty. I got trained as a stylist. I love makeup and hair, and I always love making people feel really good about themselves and look really good. I studied fashion, which is what I came over here to do, to study fashion. So my background is in styling, is in beauty. And so I wanted to incorporate that once I had an opportunity. So I started a business doing that. And that led to other things, many other things that I guess we can talk about.
Yes. Because the many other things, one of those is that you're Colby certified and predictive index certified consultant. Let's start with that because I'm trying to figure that out.
Okay. So Colby is an assessment tool, and predictive index is an assessment tool. So many people know about DISC and Myers-Briggs, and they know those. Mm-hmm. So there are three different parts to the mind. There's the cognitive. A lot of people know about cognitive, how you think. Mm-hmm. A lot of people know your affective. It's your personality, your emotions, how you feel. And so DISC and Myers-Briggs, those are affective tools. And then there is the conative part of the mind, which is how you are naturally, instinctively wired to do things. So it's in your DNA. How do you take action? How do you problem solve? How do you strive? And so these three different parts of the mind, most people just measure one. They measure whether it's your cognitive ability, how much do you know, how fast can you recall, or if it's about your personality. But not many people know the conative part of their mind. And that is deeply subconscious, and it's rooted in your instincts. So Colby measures the result of those instincts. Colby is an assessment tool that measures those things. So when we look at teams, when we look at individuals, we can tell how they're going to do their job instinctively, what they're going to struggle to do, and then how are they going to be in relationship with others. Because again, like I said, it is instinctive. It is way deep in the subconscious. So it's something that you probably have a gut feeling about yourself, but this actually measures it. So it confirms your gut feeling, and it allows you to stop doing things that really work against your natural abilities.
That is amazing. I have never heard of it. So
I was fascinated by it. I was so fascinated because for me, it really answered a lot of the challenges that I had. Albert Einstein has one of my favorite quotes. One of them is, everyone's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life thinking it's stupid. And I used to feel like that fish in many situations in my life. And then when I took the Kolbe assessment and I was able to really understand myself at such a deeper level, I was freed from trying so hard to be something that I'm not. So I was able to stop focusing on all that stuff that I'm not, that people think you should be. There's the general, well, you have to be organized in a certain way, and you have to be, because, that you can't be successful if you're not doing this, this, and this. And so, and a lot of those things come from years of school.
Right.
And so once I was able to actually shed all that expectation off of me and really understand who I am and operate in the who I am, then, I gained so much more success and that's why I talk about collapsing the time, because you can fight your whole life to do something you weren't meant to do. And once you realize what it is, how you're wired to do something and what it is you're meant to do, things just accelerate for you. And the time that it took you to get from point A to B, now you can get to A to Z in less time. I find it so fascinating. It helps people when they're hiring people. It helps people build teams that are productive and really happy and healthy. Because what it does is when you work against your natural instinct, your brain goes into a dithering pattern. It starts misfiring, and you get mentally fatigued, and you get frustrated, and you start lashing out, and you don't even know why. You don't have the framework to really understand why this is happening. You're just like, well, I just need to try harder, or I just need to learn more, or and instead of really understanding, it's never gonna get better because you're doing it the wrong way, not in the way you were meant to do it. So that's why I call it the Audacious Confidence Growth Expert, because once you really understand who you are at that level, your confidence skyrockets. And then predictive index is an affective and cognitive tool. So I use that to kind of understand the whole person so that they can move forward in doing the things that really excite and encourage them.
This is fascinating. I'm fascinated with that. And just listening to you talk about it and describe it, it's clear to me that that's you. That's what you were called to do,
Yes.
So let's go right back to the very beginning. You came here from Trinidad to go to beauty and fashion school.
To go to, fashion, to learn about fashion.
To learn about fashion. But that's part of what you're doing in addition to other things. So let's hear that story. You came here to go to school and you said things were not quite as they should have been.
Didn't turn out quite the way I wanted it to. Like everything in life, right? So if I can go back just a little bit more, I'm from Trinidad. I grew up in Australia.
That's the fascinating part.
Yeah, my childhood was spent in Australia. So when we moved back to Trinidad, I always wanted to go back to Australia. I always wanted to find a way back there, but it was so far. It's like, how would I ever get back to Australia from Trinidad? And so, the States was the closest thing there, because I felt like there would be more opportunity for me. There would be more things that I can do, because, and there's nothing wrong with Trinidad in any means. I don't want anybody to think that I don't like my country or anything like that. That is far from it. The thing is, back to that fish trying to climb a tree, I felt that the options for me there were so limited because I was creative, because I was interested in so many different things. And most people, they go through school, they go to university, they get a really great job in the traditional sense. And I never saw me as a traditional sense type of person. So I always felt like I'm being compelled to do something that I would just be unhappy.
Got
And
you.
so regular education just, was like pulling teeth for me. And I know my parents wanted me to settle down. There's like, you need to settle down and study something that will actually get you into a career that's going to be, that you can have a good, steady, stable career.
Right. Income.
I couldn't be a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant. I couldn't be any of those
Engineer.
things. I couldn't imagine myself in any of those things.
Right.
And I really tried to think about it. I wanted to do fashion, but the options were really limited in Trinidad. And so I became a flight attendant, which was a great, exciting opportunity for me. I worked for the airline, and, everybody looked up to, it's like, wow, but I wasn't going to be a pilot. And so, like, again, I was either going to just stick there for the rest of my life, and I couldn't see myself doing that because I'm someone that needs to impact other people. I really have a desire to impact, and just being a flight attendant, let me rephrase that, not just being a flight attendant, because they have a very difficult job.
Right.
But being a flight attendant for me was a step to something else. It wasn't a career choice.
Gotcha.
For many people, it is a career choice, and it's wonderful. I have friends that are still flying 20, 30 years, and they love it. For me, it wasn't the thing. And so I did that in order to earn the money to move to the United States so I can go to school.
So you had a plan.
I had a plan, but they always tell you don't know what you don't know.
Right. And that's
I did
obviously.
not know. I had a plan. I had it all laid out. I'd come, I'd study, I'd get a job, and everything would be fantastic.
And then you go back to Australia. Was that the plan?
And then, going back to Australia at that point wasn't the plan. Miami was my plan. Miami was my new plan.
Good.
I wanted to move to Miami.
Okay.
And we got married in Trinidad. My husband is from Trinidad and Tobago too. He grew up in Tobago. We got married, moved up here. His sister lived up here. So we thought, okay, at least we have somewhere to stay while I go to school, figure all the rest of it out.
Right.
Well, after school, when I lost my work permit because I only had it for a certain length of time after school, I was like, now what? What can I do? I was lost for a little while trying to figure out what to do. And then, so, that took a few years to come. I had a few children in the meantime.
I was about to ask you.
I had a few children in the meantime, and I just, volunteered. I was PTA on the PTA I just volunteered everywhere I could. I volunteered at church. I volunteered PTA. I did everything that I could to keep myself busy and active while waiting to get my papers sorted out. And that took a while. So like I said, I was like running in quicksand. So once they released me, I was go, 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 go.
And look at you today.
Right.
You today. Founder of 3 companies, right? AC Beauty,
Yes.
Red Carpet
The Red
CEO.
Carpet CEO, that is media and branding. So I did personal branding. I helped entrepreneurs get themselves, build a personal brand for themselves and get media coverage, because media was something that I learned how to get booked on television, to do beauty, to do demos, to show people about different techniques. And then I wrote my book, Age with Audacious Confidence. And then I booked myself on television with that book. So I have 2 books that I wrote, Your Signature Style, Unlocking the Confidence, Style, and Influence of the Savvy CEO. And then Age with Audacious Confidence. And the thing is, confidence was something that I struggled with, my confidence. My whole life, I really struggled with my beauty and my confidence. And we had a little bit of talk about beauty, before we started recording.
Yes.
And it was a real struggle for me. And when I traced it back, it was actually growing up in Australia. As much as I loved Australia and I loved being there, back in the 70s, my sister and I were the only children with dark complexions and like curly, kinky hair in the whole entire school of like 1,200 kids, so we were stared at, we were mocked, we were asked questions. So I didn't grow up with a really strong sense of self.
Yes.
I went there with a very strong sense of self. And by the time I left, I really didn't understand my own beauty. I was always tiny. I was always short. So I got teased for being short. And then the song by Randy Newman came out, Short People Got No Reason to Live. And I was like, they sang that to me every day.
Oh no.
So I really went into my shell. And for most of my life, I tried to step out to do stuff, but was so insecure. And I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to be noticed. I didn't want to be in the spotlight, because for so long in my life, I was in the spotlight for all what I thought were the wrong reasons, right? I was in the spotlight because I was short. I was in the spotlight because of my skin tone. I was in the spotlight because of my accent. So all those things, I just wanted to be somebody else. I just grew up wanting to be somebody else, not me. And so it took me a long time to first even recognize that was going on. And then to deprogram myself from all of that, so that I could stand here or sit here, since I'm sitting, and say that I am beautiful.
Yep.
I am worthy. I am loved. I'm loved by me first. And that I deserve, I belong and I deserve. And so my mission, when I talk about confidence, my mission is for people to really help people be what I am today, and not feel what I used to feel, because they do deserve it. They are worthy. They're here for a reason. Absolutely. And to help them really discover that their purpose, their gifts, their talents, all those things matter, and to step into it boldly with audacious confidence. So that's the whole audacious confidence thing.
And I love it. I love it that you're taking it, full circle. You said you left Trinidad and Tobago very confident because you were in a society.
I was a bold little girl. Yeah. I was outspoken. I was very opinionated at 4 years old. I could tell, I could hold a conversation with adults. And then I just shut down. By the time I came back, I was a completely different child.
But because of that experience, now you're impacting the world, because you know what it feels like to feel different. You know what it feels like to not have confidence. You know what it feels like to have like everything that you thought was worthy kind of questioned, Yeah. And so now when you talk with confidence, but you also talk with a certain amount of compassion. Oh, I don't want to say certain. There. Sorry?
Yeah. From being there.
From being there. So not a certain amount. I wanted to correct myself. You talk with compassion. You talk with empathy because you've been there, and you tell others who are struggling with the same feelings that you had and you no longer do. Say, look at me.
Not that I no longer do, because let me tell you, there are times when I step out to do something and it creeps up. It's like, it gets to like here, and then it's like, no, we're not doing that again. So it's like a constant, reaffirmation, you have to reaffirm it. You have to constantly be vigilant of when you're shrinking back instead of leaning in, so but because you've built that awareness, because I've built that awareness, I recognize now when when I'm saying no for the wrong reasons, and I need to step into it instead of shrinking away from it. And that's why I created my 7 steps to audacious confidence. So if anybody wants that, I will give it to you to, if anybody wants those 7 steps.
Yes, because that was something I was going to ask you whether, at the end, well, you've said it now, but if you could share that with our guests, because I think it would be very, very helpful. My story, some people have heard it and some haven't, was that one reason I went into podcasting was that I lost confidence in myself as well when I came here. And, the first thing people will say, where are you from? I'm like, well, listen to me first,
I know.
or I called and made an appointment at the doctor's office and they asked me if I needed an interpreter. And I'm like, I only speak English, I'm like, what? Or even when I'd go to the drive-through for stuff for my kids after I had kids, and I'm putting in an order and they're like, ma'am, huh? What did you say?
What do you say?
Yeah. And so that kind of took away confidence, my own self-confidence. And it took me a while to build it up. And I built it up through doing podcasting, because the more I spoke, the more confident I got. Well, people are understanding me.
Yes.
And so I understand.
It's
fully.
Again, as an immigrant, it's one of those things when you have an accent, and especially if you have a very thick accent. Mm-hmm. And my accent is a combination of a lot of things. Mm-hmm. So like people don't even know where I'm from. And they're like, I know you're not from here. You're from somewhere, but I don't know where, because I started speaking for clarity, pronouncing for clarity versus having or holding on to an accent, because I wanted to be understood. Mm-hmm. Right. So I kind of taught myself how to enunciate so that people aren't focused. And again, that's from my childhood, because I got teased for my accent in Australia. And then when I moved back to Trinidad, I was teased for my Australian accent. Oh. And so wherever I just seek to enunciate so that people understand what I'm saying, and not focus on how I'm saying it, if that makes sense. If not focus on the accent and start a whole other conversation about, oh, where are you from? I'm like, I'm trying to say something here. Right? Now you're trying to pull me over here. And I find that that's a big hurdle for a lot of immigrants.
Yes.
Their accent, it's a big, just like what you're saying, they stop using their voice. I stopped using my voice for a long time because of it. And so it's even to give people to be comfortable being who you are and yes. speaking however feels best for you. When I'm with my family, yes, it comes out. My Trini comes out.
Of course.
But for the most part, when I speak for understanding, so people can actually understand the words I'm saying and not be hooked up on the accent.
Gotcha. Because that's one of the questions I was going to ask you is like, how can your journey and what you've experienced inspire other immigrant women like you who are coming to the United States? What can you tell them? Mm-hmm. But this is what you should look out for, and this is what you should do, etc. What would that be?
Right. So I would say if you're planning to come, if you haven't come yet and you're planning to come, seek out an immigration attorney. Mm-hmm. Find out like I said, I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yes.
Get information on the legal system, how that works, how can you fast track it? What is the best options that you have? And start working on that side of it as soon as possible. See, I knew I was coming up here and I worked for 4 years as a flight attendant. I didn't realize that I could have started the process way back then instead of waiting till I started school. I could have started my immigration process when I was thinking and planning. That should have been part of my plan. And I didn't know. So find yourself an immigration attorney in the area that you're planning to move to. So that would be my biggest, and like do some really good research on that. They're not cheap, it's not inexpensive, but if you look, now is such a different time than when I was here. There's the internet. There yes. are forums. There are chats, chat rooms. There are places that you can go to get information that before the internet, when I came up here, was BI, before the www. So I didn't have those resources or availability or opportunity to get the information. So gather that information ahead of time and start sooner than you think you need to start. Like start right away.
So there's no time like the present. Begin the minute you start thinking about immigrating. Start doing your research.
Research.
And as you said, I mean, research is at our fingertips these days. And these
because I only researched the schools that I wanted to go to, and what the process was of doing that. And I figured, okay, once I get here, everything else will kind of work out, you know.
And it didn't. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a question I ask all my guests. Do you consider yourself a success? I consider you a success, but tell me what you think.
I do. And that's, again, that's something that was a challenge for me to even look at it that way. But I do, because I have 3 beautiful children. One is graduating college soon. One is graduating high school and heading into college. And one is in middle school. And they're all great students, honor roll students, you know. So that time that I had home was very valuable, because I was there to raise them. I was there to nurture them. And I wasn't, and I'm so grateful for that time being able to be home with my children. It wasn't an option for me, but, you know, and I know there's some women out there that have to work and they don't have that opportunity to be present. So like my friends who were working, I picked their kids up from school sometimes so their kids wouldn't be alone. You know, like I was their mom too. So that's a blessing for me. So that's a success, because I was blessed enough not to be in that rat race early, even though I wanted to be in it, to be there for my children. I'm able to impact lives in the way that I desire to, and that I am wired best to do. And so that's successful. So, you know, you have to measure success based on your own barometer, not anybody else's. And based on my own measuring stick, I am successful.
I like that answer. Measure it based on your own measuring stick, not other people's. And, you know, sometimes as women, we forget that if we choose to have children, having children that are, you know, healthy, that are going to become good citizens of the country, that's a success on its own, you know?
Oh, yes.
That's a big
successful
story.
Even coming through 3 pregnancies was a success for me, because that was hard.
Yes, that's it. And your children seem, you know, they're well, when I say well spaced, you have one graduating college.
They're all 5 years apart. Yeah.
Lovely.
They're spaced apart.
Took you 5 years to recover from each one.
It really did. Wow. It honestly did, because the pregnancies were tough. So, but I was grateful and thankful. It was a blessing. I have a community of people, the people that I surround myself with, people that I call friends, including you, Paula, you know, that love and support and are so generous to me. That's a success, because there are people that can't count people on their side that they can call at any time and they'll be there for them. So I have successful friendships, successful relationships. My husband and I have been married for 30 years. You know, I am successful by my own standards.
And by many other standards. I mean, I read out your bio. It was like, woo, you know.
And I'm getting to do what I love. I'm getting to act. I get to speak. I get to influence. And so, you know, my motto is to influence, educate, inspire, and entertain people to step into their own audacious confidence.
I absolutely love and admire you for doing that. Yes. Because everyone has a purpose. I was on a talk. I gave a talk to some university students recently, and that's what I kept drumming into them, or emphasizing, I should say. Everybody has a purpose. My purpose is not yours, but what you bring to the world, I can't bring to the world. So, you know, know that, step into it and do it well. Do it with the best of your ability. And most times when it's natural, you know, you don't even have to think too hard about it.
You don't think about it. Yep.
Yeah. It comes naturally to you. All right. So we're about wrapping up, and I want to you to tell the audience where they can find you online. I know you mentioned
it's
it at
so
the
easy.
beginning.
It's super easy. So if they go to alicia360.com, alicia360.com, you can connect with me on all social media that I'm on. You can visit my website from that platform, which is aliciacouri.com. But, and just real quickly, because I know we have to wrap, the 7 steps to audacious confidence. If you connect with me and tell me you want those 7 steps, I will send you the PDF of those 7 steps to audacious confidence. So just connect with me. You can from the 360 site, you can WhatsApp me, you can text me, you can set up an appointment with me. Just go to the contact section of that site and send me a message, DM me on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever, and tell me you heard me on this podcast and you want my 7 steps, and I will send it to you.
And I'll even go one step further, saying I will put the link in. I'll put the PDF in a link on my website too, so you can download it from there as well.
Yes.
So
absolutely,
all those options. Yeah,
you have many options, but to get audaciously confident.
And look at her. I mean, well, this is a podcast, so you can't see Mrs. Alicia Couri. I want Couri. I keep making that mistake. Couri.
That's okay. It's more a ooh than a
Couri. If you could see her, you would want more than the 7 steps. You want 7 times 7, right?
Those 7 steps are gold. It's what helped me get the crown. I've worked those 7 steps.
That's really inspiring. All right. Yeah. Is there any question that you would like me to ask that you're like, I wish Paula would have asked me this, and she hasn't?
You know what, Paula, you really, we went deep. And I think I don't think so. I think we really took it all.
Okay, that's awesome. You've been an amazing guest. I'm so happy that we connected and that you said yes.
Oh, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I hope it blesses the audience too.
It has blessed me. And so my audience...
actually, I do have one other thing I wanted to say, because my journey to confidence really started with my journey to get to know myself through Christ. God was a huge factor in all of this. And understanding myself through Christ first was really a big part of my journey, and I didn't want to leave that out.
I'm happy you did, because I'm a Christian and I don't hide that. Yeah. And so I love when women, because I mainly interview women, talk about their faith and how, their faith has brought them to where they are, because I know that has been very helpful in getting me to where I am too. I say podcasting helped, but before podcasting, there was Christ.
Yes, exactly. It wouldn't have been possible without that.
And for my listeners, if you have enjoyed what you just heard, please head over to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to podcasts, and click subscribe. And if you're an immigrant woman from Africa or from the Caribbean and have found these stories interesting, please let us know in your reviews. And better still, we would love for you to be a guest on my show, Chatting with the Experts. To do that, just head over to www.chattingwiththeexperts.com, contact us, and let's chat. Thanks again, Alicia.